Toshishun by Ryunosuke Akutagawa. One spring evening, under the western gate of Luoyang, capital of Tang, China, a young man stood gazing vacantly at the sky. His name was Toshishun. He had once been the son of a rich family, but he had squandered his fortune and fallen so low that he could hardly live day to day. Luoyang then was the most prosperous city under heaven, and the street before the gate was still crowded with people and carriages. In the oily light of the setting sun that filled the whole gate, the gauze hats worn by old men, the golden earrings of women from Turkestan, and the coloured reins on white horses flowed past without cease, beautiful as a painting. Yet Toshishun leaned against the gate wall and kept staring at the sky. A thin moon floated faint and white in the wavering haze, like a scratch of a fingernail.
The day is fading, my stomach is empty, and there is nowhere left that would take me in. If life is only this, perhaps I should throw myself into the river and be done with it.
So he had been turning over such aimless thoughts. Then, from who knows where, an old man with one eye narrowed came and stopped before him. Bathed in the sunset, he cast a great shadow on the gate and stared at Toshishun's face.
"What are you thinking about?"
he said brusquely.
Me? I have nowhere to sleep tonight, and I am wondering what to do.
The question was so abrupt that Toshishun lowered his eyes and answered honestly.
"I see. That is pitiable."
The old man seemed to think a while. Then he pointed to the slanting light of the setting sun and said,
"I will tell you something good. Stand now in this sunset, and when your shadow falls on the ground, dig at midnight where the head of your shadow touches. There you will surely find gold enough to fill a cart."
Truly.
Startled, Toshishun raised his downcast eyes. But stranger still, the old man was gone. Not a trace of him remained. The moon in the sky had grown even paler, and over the ceaseless stream of passers-by 2 or 3 early bats were already fluttering. In a single day, Toshishun became the richest man in all Luoyang. As the old man had said, he stood in the sunset and at midnight secretly dug where the head of his shadow had fallen. He uncovered a heap of gold more than a great cart could carry. At once he bought a splendid house and began to live in luxury to rival Emperor Xuanzong. He sent for the wine of Lanling, for longan from Guizhou, planted peonies that changed color 4 times a day in his garden, let white peacocks roam at will, collected jewels, ordered brocades, built carriages of fragrant wood, and had chairs made of ivory. To list all his extravagances would never end this tale. Hearing the rumors, friends who once would not greet him in the street came to visit morning and evening. Their number grew by the day. Within half a year there was not a famed wit or beauty in Luoyang who failed to call at Toshishun's house. He held banquets every day. To tell only a little, he poured wine from the west into golden cups and watched a magician from India perform the swallowing of swords. Around him 20 women stood. 10 wore lotus flowers of jade in their hair. 10 wore peonies of agate. They played flutes and zithers with delightful rhythm. But even the richest man can exhaust his money. As 1 year and then 2 passed, Toshishun grew poorer and poorer. People are fickle. Friends who came every day until yesterday now passed his gate without a word. By the 3rd spring he was penniless again. In all the wide city of Luoyang, there was not a single house that would give him lodging. No one would grant him even a bowl of water. So one evening he went once more to the western gate of Luoyang, stood there staring at the sky, and despaired. Again, as before, the one-eyed old man appeared from nowhere and said,
What are you thinking about?
Toshishun looked at the old man's face, lowered his eyes in shame, and for a while could not answer. But the old man kindly repeated his question. Toshishun replied, as before.
I have nowhere to sleep tonight, and I am wondering what to do.
I see. That is pitiable. Then I will tell you something good. Stand now in this sunset, and when your shadow falls on the ground, dig at midnight where the chest of your shadow touches. There you will surely find gold enough to fill a cart.
So saying, the old man vanished into the crowd once again. From the next day, Toshishun at once returned to being the greatest rich man under heaven. And at the same time, as before, he began to spend without restraint. Peonies in the garden, white peacocks asleep among them. The magician from India swallowing his blades. Everything was as in the past. And so the cartful of gold, that vast hoard, was all gone again in about 3 years.
What are you thinking about?
For the third time, the one-eyed old man came before Toshishun and asked the same question. As always, he was under the western gate of Luoyang, standing idly while a thin crescent broke the haze.
Me. I have nowhere to sleep tonight, and I'm wondering what to do.
I see. That is pitiable. Then I will tell you something good. Stand now in this sunset, and when your shadow falls on the ground, dig at midnight where the belly of your shadow touches. There you will surely find a cart full of...
Before the old man could finish, Toshishun raised his hand and cut him off.
No, I do not want money anymore.
You do not want money, so you are tired of luxury at last.
The old man peered at him, suspicious, and stared into his face.
It is not that I am tired of luxury. I am weary of human beings. People are all unfeeling. When I am rich, they flatter and fawn. Once I am poor, they will not even show a gentle face. Thinking of that, I feel that even if I became rich again, it would mean nothing.
At this, the old man began to smile.
I see. For one so young, you understand well. Then will you live in poverty and be at peace?
Toshishun hesitated a moment, then lifted his eyes with resolve.
I cannot do that either, so I want to become your disciple and train in the arts of immortals. Do not hide it. You are a sage of the way. If you were not, you could not have made me the richest man under heaven in a single night. Please, be my teacher and teach me your wondrous arts.
The old man frowned, was silent for a while, then smiled again.
Indeed, I am a sage named Takanchi, who dwells on Mount Eme. When I first saw your face, I thought you had sense, so I made you rich twice. If you desire it so much, I will accept you as my disciple.
Toshishun was overjoyed. Before the words had ended, he touched his forehead to the ground and bowed to Takanchi again and again.
No need for thanks. Even if I take you as my disciple, whether you become a true immortal depends on you. For now come with me into the depths of Mount Eme. Lucky for us, here lies a bamboo staff. Let us mount it at once and cross the sky.
He picked up a green bamboo, chanted a spell, and together they bestrode it as if mounting a horse. At once the staff rose like a dragon and climbed into the clear evening sky, flying toward Mount Eme. Toshishun looked down in terror. Only blue mountains lay beneath in the dusk. The western gate of Luoyang was lost in the haze. The white hairs at Takanchi's temples streamed in the wind as he lifted his voice in song. At dawn I roam the northern sea. By dusk I am in Changwu. A green serpent hides in my sleeve. My bold spirit knows no curb. Thrice I entered Yue Yang, and no one knew me. Singing aloud, I fly across the waters of Lake Dongting. The bamboo bearing the two of them soon glided down to Mount Imei. It was a broad slab of rock overlooking a deep valley, so high that the Big Dipper hung in midair, and each star shone as large as a teacup. No human ever came there. All was still. Only a single twisted pine on the cliff behind them sang in the night wind. When they reached the rock, Takanshi seated Toshishun at the foot of the precipice.
I will now go to the heavens to pay my respects to the Queen Mother of the West. While I am away, sit here and wait for my return. When I am gone, many spirits will appear and try to beguile you. No matter what happens, do not utter a word. If you speak even a single word, you can never become an immortal. Remember, even if heaven and earth split, keep silent.
I will. I will not speak, even if it costs my life.
Good. Then I can go in peace.
The old man took his leave, mounted the bamboo staff again, and in a straight line vanished into the saw-edged black of the peaks. Alone, Toshishun sat on the rock and quietly watched the stars. About half an hour passed. The mountain night grew cold, and the thin robe let the chill through. Then a voice sounded in the air. "Who is there?" He kept silence, as taught. After a while, the same voice returned. "If you do not answer, prepare to lose your life at once." Toshishun remained mute. A tiger leapt up onto the rock, its eyes blazing. It glared at Toshishun and roared. At the same time, the pine above him thrashed, and from the cliff top a great white serpent as large as a cask came sliding down, forked tongue like flame. Toshishun sat unmoved. For a time the tiger and the snake watched each other, waiting for an opening. Then both sprang at him together. He thought his life would end in a blink, in fangs or in coils. But both tiger and serpent melted like mist and were gone on the night wind. Only the pine kept singing as before. He drew a slow breath and waited for the next trial. A blast of wind rose. Ink-black clouds covered the sky. Pale violet lightning split the dark, and thunder crashed. Rain came down like a waterfall. Toshishun sat without fear. Wind, spray, unending flashes. For a time, even Mount Mae seemed about to turn over. Then a single stroke of thunder rent the air, and a red pillar of fire plunged from the whirling clouds toward his head. He clapped his hands to his ears and fell flat on the rock. When he opened his eyes, the sky was clear as before. Across the ranks of the peaks, the Big Dipper sparkled like teacups of light. So it had been another trick, like the tiger and the white snake, taking advantage of Takanshi's absence. He wiped the cold sweat from his brow and sat again. Before his sigh had faded, a war god appeared before him, a figure 3 tall fathoms high, wearing golden armor. He held a 3-pronged halberd, and with eyes aflame he shouted, "Who are you? Since the opening of heaven and earth, this mountain has been my dwelling. Yet you dare to set foot here alone. You cannot be a mere man. If you value your life, answer at once." Toshishun, as ordered, kept his mouth closed. "You will not answer. Very well. My hosts will cut you to pieces." He lifted the halberd and beckoned toward the sky beyond the peaks. The dark split open, and the heavens filled with countless troops, all flashing spears and swords, ready to sweep down in a single charge. Toshishun almost cried out, but he remembered Takanshi's words and held to silence. The war god raged. "Stubborn wretch, since you will not speak, I take your life as promised." He flashed the halberd and in one thrust killed Toshishun. A harsh rattling laugh that made Mount Eme resound. He vanished. The hosts vanished with the wind. The Big Dipper again shone coldly on the flat slab of rock. The pine on the cliff sang as before. But Toshishun's breath had long since ceased, and he lay on his back where he had fallen. Toshishun's body lay face up on the rock, but his soul slipped quietly out and went down to the bottom of hell. Between this world and hell there is a road called the Dark Pit Road. Under a sky that is dark all year, an icy wind blows hard without cease. Blown by that wind, he drifted like a leaf for a while, then came before a splendid palace with a plaque that read Hall of Shinra. The many demons at the gate saw him, at once ringed him round, and dragged him to the foot of the steps. Above the steps sat a king in a jet-black robe and a crown of gold, glowering on every side. It could be none other than King Enma. Toshishun, not knowing what would befall him, knelt there in fear.
"Why were you sitting on Mount Eme?"
The voice of King Enma rolled from above like thunder. Toshishun started to answer, but he remembered Takanshi's warning. Do not speak. He only bowed his head and kept silent, like one without a tongue. King Enma raised an iron scepter, his beard bristling.
"Do you know where you stand? Answer at once, or I will subject you without delay to the torments of hell."
Still, Toshishun did not move his lips. Seeing this, King Enma turned to the demons, barked a harsh order, and they all bowed as one, lifted Toshishun, and soared into the air above the Hall of Shinra. As all know, in hell, besides the Mountain of Swords and the Pool of Blood, there is a scorching hell of flaming valleys, and an extreme cold hell, a sea of ice, set out under a pitch-dark sky. The demons hurled him in turn into each of these. Swords pierced his chest. Flames burned his face. His tongue was torn out. His skin was flayed. Iron pestles crushed him. Oil cauldrons boiled him. Poison snakes sucked his brains. Hawks tore out his eyes. There is no end to the count of pains. Yet he endured, clenched his teeth, and did not speak a single word. Even the demons were amazed. They flew again through the night-like sky and brought him back before the hall. Setting him at the foot of the steps as before, they spoke up to the throne. "This sinner shows no sign of speaking." King Enma frowned and pondered. Then, as if struck by a thought, he said,
"His father and mother have fallen into the animal realm. Bring them here at once."
A demon leapt into the wind and rose into the sky of hell. In a streak like a falling star he returned, driving two beasts before him. Toshishun was shocked. They were shabby, gaunt horses in form, but their faces were those of his dead father and mother.
"Confess at once why you sat on Mount Eme, or I will make your parents feel pain."
Even so, Toshishun kept silent.
"Unfilial wretch. You think it is fine if your parents suffer, so long as things go well for you."
The roar of King Enma shook the Hall of Shinra.
"Beat them, demons. Smash flesh and bone."
The demons cried out in assent, took up iron whips, and from every side lashed the two horses without mercy. The whips sang through the air and fell like rain, splitting hide and flesh wherever they struck. The horses, his parents now turned to beasts, writhed in agony, blood tears in their eyes, screaming so that one could hardly bear to see.
How is it now? Will you speak?
King Enma stayed the whips for a moment and urged him again to answer. By then, both horses lay fallen before the steps, flesh torn, bones broken, breathing in gasps. Toshishun, desperate, shut his eyes tight and clung to Takanchi's words. Then a voice, faint beyond faint, reached his ear.
Do not worry about us. Whatever becomes of us, if only you can be happy, nothing could be better. Whatever King Enma says, if you do not wish to speak, then keep silent.
It was surely his mother's dear voice. He opened his eyes. One horse had collapsed on the ground and looked up at him sadly. Even in such pain, she showed no sign of blame, thinking only of her son. Compared with the world that flatters the rich and will not speak to the poor, what a grateful heart, what a brave resolve. Forgetting the old man's warning, Toshishun stumbled to her side, threw his arms round the half-dead neck, and through falling tears cried out, "Mother!" At the sound of that voice, he looked up, and found himself again standing under the western gate of Luoyang, bathed in the setting sun. The hazy sky, the white crescent moon, the unending flow of people and carts, all were just as before he ever went to Mount Amei.
Well,
Said the one-eyed old man with a smile.
even as my disciple, you could never have become an immortal.
No, I could not. Yet I am glad I could not.
Toshishun still had tears in his eyes. Without thinking, he grasped the old man's hand.
Even if I could have become an immortal, when I saw my father and mother being whipped before the hall of Shinra in hell, there was no way I could keep silent.
If you had kept silent,
Takanchi's face grew solemn.
I would have cut off your life on the spot. You no longer wish to be an immortal. As for being a rich man, you are already sick of it. Then what do you think you should become from now on?
Whatever I become, I will live honestly, as a human being.
Do not forget those words. From today, I shall not meet you again.
With that, Takanchi started to walk away, then suddenly stopped and looked back.
Oh, I just remembered. I have a house at the southern foot of Mount Tai. I will give you the house and the fields with it. Go there at once and live. About now, the peach blossoms around it should be in full bloom.
Thank you for listening until the end. For anyone who loves Japanese literature, or just wants calm readings to help with focus, relaxation, or sleep, this channel is for you. Please like the video and subscribe.